Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. So, tonight, which is weird for me because I don't usually do night ones, I am talking to someone who is amazing, and you guys are going to love her. It's Mary Lynn. She's with our Sydney Sotheby's office, and she's going to give us some insight as to what's going on in Australia. So,
Good,
welcome, my
good evening, everyone. Or good morning, because it's good morning here.
I know, good Friday morning.
Yes, it is. I've started my day early. I had my workout session this morning already. So
You're making it even worse. No wonder you can't gain weight. Come on.
you know what? I've never been such a fitness person until one of my friends, she decided to do this online. She's a PT, she's a personal trainer. So she said everybody, all her friends got to get on board. And I said, yeah, you're never going to get me out of bed, right? And so then I had like this other friend, like my other best friend, and they were in a private group message going, oh, she's never going to show up. And then she forwarded it to me and I was like, oh, it's on. I'm showing up. And so I've shown up ever since. So,
that's awesome. So you're working out,
yeah.
you're having your smoothies. I saw you guys missed that ahead of time.
Yeah, I made it this morning.
No, and for all of
learned a new skill called cooking. What is
that? I don't know that skill.
Yeah, what is that? What are you talking about?
Baking, yes. I love to bake. That's like my thing. But cooking.
I've learnt to bake as well. I am a banana muffin connoisseur.
Yes.
That's all I can make.
Yes. Oh, but they're so good, and especially with walnuts.
Yeah.
And if you can find walnut oil and use walnut oil instead of regular oil.
I didn't know that. Right.
See?
I made a gluten-free orange cake, flopped twice. What's happening? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I stuck to my banana muffins because it's just nothing.
You're like, I've got this down.
Exactly.
So this is a good lead-in, right? So let's talk about how, first of all, you guys in Australia, man, you had a year of it. Right. So you started with the bushfires, which poor Mary kept getting texts from me. I'm like, are you okay? I saw this. Are you okay, Mary? Can you breathe okay? Do you need anything?
That was pretty intense. And I think even we felt it as well. Obviously, I live in the city. So we don't get the bushfires. But the bushfires is literally an hour away. So imagine just driving 1 hour down to the country, and there were bushfires. And so we're pretty close. We've got the smoke and everything. But you know what? That was pretty tough. That was really hard on us. And especially a lot of people where we work in our farming areas, they have homes in the country. And so they were down there. I had a client who was about to settle on a property, and he called up and he was like, guys, can we just hold off one more day? Because I'm trying to save my property. I don't know whether or not to stay and defend it, or do I leave and save my life, right? And so we're like, okay, sure. So obviously everybody was very understanding in that aspect, but that was really touching home because he basically called, was like, I just bought this beautiful farm. That's why he was selling with us. And and it was under threat, but it was okay. It was all fine.
I would say, but he made it okay.
Yeah, he made it all right. See, the thing is, our fire services, God bless them. They're amazing. We had another a client that he was fighting for his property too, and we're catching him on Instagram and actually seeing everything going down. So it was actually quite real for our clients that actually have country properties, or those that actually live in the country. So it was a pretty bad one this time. So
yeah, no, I mean it was. It's funny. I don't know if you've seen there was like a Facebook video going around where a woman from April of 2020 goes back and talks to herself in January, and she brings up the Australian bushfires, and she's like, "Those were a really big deal,"
The thing was, we get bushfires every year. It's just part of our nature. And it's one of those things because we do have a lot of bush, and we get really hot here. So and we're very dry here. So we don't tan nicely here. When the European sun, everyone comes back with a nice tan. In the city, when you tan, you burn.
It's Texas, same thing.
Yeah, it is intense. You stay out in the sun for 15 minutes. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm red. It's not nice. But so that's why it gets really hot, because then we go through that summer period that doesn't rain.
Right.
for a very long time. And then our sun's really scorching hot. So then everything catches on fire.
Wow.
So because we've had that dry spell through last year where there wasn't enough rain, it didn't actually soak into the soil. So it hit harder this time because it was so dry here.
Wow, that's crazy. So you made it through that.
We
The world recovered. And
Yeah.
then you had a new thing.
Yeah, now we've got COVID-19. But at least, you know what I tell everybody? Like, at least we're, like, the whole world's going through the same thing. We're not singled
Right.
out, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is nice because, you know, it's really funny because when, like, SARS was around or any, like, actually, like, countries that go through these things, we're always like, oh my goodness, you know, we feel sorry for them. How can we help? But now it's like everyone's on the same boat that like, it's great texting friends from all over the world and be like, are you guys all okay? Because we're all in this together kind of thing.
Right. Well, how are the cases in Australia? I haven't heard much from down there in a while.
You know, I was actually speaking to a friend yesterday about this, and we're actually really proud of Australia and Australians. We've actually kept it so low.
Mm-hmm.
Our risk, we haven't even gone into lockdown, which is amazing. But we have had like less than 100 deaths, and our cases have been 7,000 or something. So I don't know today's figures, but in the last couple of weeks, we've kept it to like 7 to 10 or 18 cases a day, and that's nothing compared to everything. So
are you guys relatively back to normal, or are you still?
No. So the thing is, our government's actually, we went into restrictions slowly, so it didn't hit everybody as so hard as a lockdown. Right. So we went on a gradual sense because we're so far-fetched. Like, we're like a little island for the rest of the world, right? So we saw everything, you know, outbreak out, you know, in other countries. And so what our government done, which it was just taking, you know, gradual steps. And so I think today actually we're opening up to 2 people can visit a household now instead of 1. Oh, so we're gradually getting there. But, you know, it was nice to gradually get there, you know, instead of going full complete lockdown, because it gave people a chance to actually get their affairs in order, you know, having like children and shops and owners and, you know, just everything, you know, it gave people a chance. And I think that's what helped, you know, us a lot. So we're not normal yet. No.
Okay. So then was real estate completely shut down for you guys?
Our real estate was completely shut. So no inspections, no auctions, because we're a massive auction country. So we auction everything.
Interesting.
Yeah. So majority of our properties do go to auction. But that's all shut. But we still can do like private inspections, but keeping our social distancing, obviously keeping to the law, one person at a time. And so like we normally just open the house and stand social distancing, one person at a time. If they're a family, we try to keep them, like if we will call them and be like, if it's husband and wife, you know, children, just things like that. Just, you know, we want to be, you know, good citizens and following the law. So, you know, try to keep business afloat. So.
Right. Well, so talk to me though about the auctions, because I've not heard that before. So if I want to buy a house in Sydney, how does this auction work?
Yeah, so it's really funny because when we actually signed up to join Sotheby's International Realty, you know, I went to induction. This is like, you know, 6 years ago. And, you know, they were talking to everybody about this auction thing. And we're like, yeah. And no one did auctions. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't do auctions? I'm like, this is so bizarre. So basically our auction process, it's just part of our, you know, every day for buying property. So we do have the private treaties, we have the expressions of interest, and we have the for sales. And so we still have all that, but our auctions are the main thing. So basically it's in either a 4-week campaign, 3 to 4 week campaign. And so you set an auction date. So let's say, for example, the auction is in a month. So we start marketing now. We work towards the auction date. And so we don't give a set price. We give a price guide. So we're guiding this, right? So these price guides, it's like buying a painting, right? So the guide is always a bit lower, and then, you know, you always see the price gets a bit higher later on. So same thing as a property auction. It's like when you're buying a painting, it's about the same thing. And so then we work towards that. So you get contracts out, and then people do all the due diligence within that 1 month period or that campaign period, right? It doesn't have to be a month. Like normally we sit 4 months, but sometimes when you get to 4 weeks, but sometimes yeah, no.
Completely different.
I know. So sometimes when you get to 6 weeks, if you do a 6 week campaign, you might just lose interest because then there's other auction campaigns that's happening that people will jump on them. So it's just you want to keep them nice and short. So 3 to 4 weeks. And so every buyer has to do their due diligence within that 3 to 4 week period. And so then the day of the auction, you send an auctioneer and you see, let's say, for example, it's a successful one. So you've got like 4 contracts out. You run the auction and basically the auctioneer starts, whoever's interested starts off with a price. You have to register for the auction. And then it just goes up, 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 up. And then if it hits the reserve, which is a price that the owner is happy to sell, and then you get sold.
So you say that that's the majority of the homes, they're sold that way. Do they do that because it's an less invasive process, or it's an easier process for them? There's not a bunch of people constantly in and out of their home. Like, what's the benefit of the auction?
I think the benefit is getting, what we always say is, if you want to really know the true value of your property, take it to auction. And so it's one of those moments where let's say, for example, you're doing auctions for houses that it's sellable, right? As a real estate agent, you sort of see what's sellable and what's not. For the unique homes, which we deal with a lot, with the high-end unique homes, a lot of them don't go to auction because, it is a unique home. So how do you define a price? Okay, so for, let's say, for a popular home in an average price range that we sell is like 4 to 6 million, right?
Right.
So for 4 to 6 million, sorry,
I've got my dog down here trying to get in my lap.
No, that's okay. And so for 4 to 6 million, sorry, so basically what happens is, sorry, what was your question again?
I'm like, now I've forgotten. We've gotten so ADD. This is what happens when we get together. It's like squirrel.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, why do they do the auction over just selling it?
So let's say, for example, it's 4 to 6 million, right? And you want to know the real value. You're going to have a lot of buyers there that just say, because it's quite a popular price range. So basically what you would do is you take it to market, and whatever it sells on the day, it's market value, right? Because of the competition. Let's say if it's a really popular house and it's, let's say the market's great, it could go $1 million to $2 million above reserve.
Interesting. So do you not have an MLS, a multiple listing system in Australia?
We do have 2 websites that all buyers or sellers or whoever is looking for property can jump on. Okay. So we have 2 dominant ones, domain.com.au and realestate.com.au. Basically, anyone can jump on there, and that's every listing that is on the market in every suburb kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah. So do you guys do exclusivities there, or is it?
Yes, an auction campaign is also exclusive.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we have for sale exclusive, for sale open listing, and then we have auction, and auctions are always exclusive. But what happens here, sometimes we have to do like a co-agency. So it's 2 agencies working together.
Right. And we do that in the States sometimes, that's the whole thing of MLS is cooperation, on the buyer and the seller side. So if
we don't represent buyers here.
That's what I was just about. Yeah. You knew where I was going with that, because I've had a couple of people reach out that I've tried to connect because they want to buy a home in Sydney and they cannot figure out how to do it. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to purchase in Sydney?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, I would say is definitely link up with us. We also work with buyers. So we're in Australia, basically we're a vendor's agent. So we get paid by the vendors. Okay. And that's majority, right? So if I was going to represent a buyer, and they want to buy from another agent, it's a contract between me and the other agent, whether or not I get paid or not. So that's a separate thing, right? Okay. But for example, we are a vendors, we get paid by the vendors, We also have another side called buyer's agents, and they get paid by the buyer. So buyers can approach a buyer's agent to work on their behalf to find property. That's getting quite popular here.
Yeah.
But not to say that we don't work with buyers either. So we also work with buyers. Yeah, but that's just because it's all part of the process. So when we become a vendor's agent, we meet a lot of buyers. So then we help buyers do other things. So just keeping, we like to give good service because you never know what happens down the track. And I think we're very good at servicing our clients. So buyers or sellers, we service them quite well just to keep the relationships.
But if you represent the seller in an auction or what have you, and a buyer comes on their own, are you still able to help them?
Yeah.
Or okay.
So basically, so it's actually quite interesting. It's basically doing what you do because you work with other agents, but so it's basically combining the two roles together, and we do it ourselves.
Okay, so which we do that. Well, intermediary, dual agent type thing.
Yeah. So that's basically what we do. But if a buyer wanted to engage with a buyer's agent, they can, or they can just go to a vendor's agent, like a real estate agent, and they can help you too. So
well, and I think it's great that you guys do have the buyer's agency, because I've done a few of these interviews, and I've got my people that I speak to around the world, and they don't really have buyer's agents. And so the buyers, they go to, a Sotheby's and I don't know, Sri Lanka, and they want a buyer's agent, and they don't understand that that's not a process there. So it is nice that you at least have that option to help them.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing. I have to say, it wasn't a thing a couple of years ago. Now it's becoming quite popular because, people are quite time poor. And then people keep on getting gazumped at auctions or missing out of good properties, and they just don't understand why. And so, or like missing out on off markets. And so a lot of people are engaging buyers agencies for different reasons. Some are time poor, someone wants access to off market, some want representation in terms of them going for themselves and like spending all this money doing their due diligence and actually getting nowhere. So that's why they sort of, want to engage with a buyer's agent, just to have security that there's a professional sort of representing them on their behalf, kind of thing. Yeah.
So do you guys have a lot of off-market listings in general? You just mentioned on that.
Yeah. So with our company, Sydney Sotheby's, we like to take everything to market. We do have off markets, definitely, the bigger ones and stuff. But, we have this saying, how do you sell a secret? So we really like to take things to market because with off, there's always, it's a case by case basis. There are cases where you can find a buyer that wants that specific house, and then, that's done. But generally, we like to take everything to market to give your house a fair go, kind of thing. Right. So,
you want as many people looking at it as you can, so you can get the most money.
Absolutely. And just, we figured out, just working the business for a while with, high-end luxury real estate, some people don't like to call and talk to you about it because they don't want to be hassled later on and anything. They like just to secretly look on it themselves, and then obviously they know the area, or they know, the market quite well, and they will just come to an open house on their own. So that's why we like to open the pool up, just for those people that we found that don't like to take the time to call someone and be like, hey, can I come and see it? And they ask, and then, so it's just one of those things, giving people the liberty to work in their own time, and in their own way that they feel comfortable with, and also giving your home the biggest exposure you can if you seriously go on the market,
Right. So in Australia or in Sydney, are agents required to be licensed? That's
absolutely. The laws have changed. You have to be licensed, correct? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And that's good to know, because as you know, around the world, that's not always the case, and you don't know who you're getting or what they're doing. So back to the go ahead.
We're highly regulated here, just to put it out there that everyone needs to be licensed. We do yearly courses in order to renew our license. So
That's
we're very
amazing.
highly regulated here, which is quite nice.
Yes.
It makes it a legitimate kind of position for you to know that
Right.
you've got the qualifications to be able to do this.
Right. Which is important, obviously, especially, if you're coming from outside of Australia,
Absolutely.
and you don't know the process, you want to make sure you have someone who can help
Yeah.
you. I did have a question back on to the auctions.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you put some type of deposit down. Like when the person is the highest bidder, do they pay right then? Is there a
Yeah.
deposit? Like,
So basically, if you buy it for sale, you can buy it. Okay, so basically, you can either buy it with a cooling off or without a cooling off, right? For sale property. Now, if it's auction, there is no cooling off. So basically, when the hammer falls, that's yours. There's no cooling off. So you either in Australia, we are expected to put a 10% deposit down.
okay.
But then you can either negotiate, like you can actually send a letter to the solicitor asking if you can do 5%. It can be either accepted or not. So it's a case by case basis in that sense. But generally, it's 10%.
Okay. And you said there's the 4-week process for the auction, but then once you win the house, as it were, is there a financing period after that, or is it all cash?
Basically, that's called exchange. And then we have the settlement period. So the setup between exchange and settlement, it could be whatever day. Normally it's 42 days, but you could do 6 months, 2 years, 3 days. It's a mutual agreement.
2 years, yeah.
Well, you could do it's a mutual agreement. So like we had a property that it was 2 years, and so
That's crazy.
Yeah, but they leased it back.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So are you seeing any difference in the market with the way that the year has started and where you are now? I mean, how are things looking in Australia or in Sydney?
I think basically we've had a tough start to the year with, the bushfires. It was quite tough because it was very uncertain. It built a very, uncertain feeling throughout the community.
Right.
And I think anything uncertain, people hold off sometimes to buying a house or, selling. I'm excluding those that are like, that need to sell, you know what I mean? So I'm just talking in general, that it's always that moment where there's a hesitation. And then when that, finished, COVID started. And so I think, we're still doing sales. It's not as busy, it literally slowed right down. It is difficult because everyone's on this uncertain boat with finance, obviously, with, what's to come. Do I put myself in for another, we don't know how long this is going to be. Do I want to put myself up with like that, with so much commitment, and I'm also excluding those that need to sell, right? So I think we are quite positive because Sydney or Australia, in parts of Australia, like Sydney, Melbourne, we're always going to be okay. I think just because we're such a popular city, we're a growing population. There's so much infrastructure that's happening. Our city is just getting better. We've got, really good living standards. Our healthcare system's quite good. Our environment, our air, our schooling, our natural aesthetics, like the beaches, our national parks and everything. I think it's always going to be a popular city. So in terms of, in the future, I think we'll be okay. But in this moment in time, it's always just going to be a little tougher, just because everyone's on a standing position. And no one's moving forward or backwards,
Right. So within Sydney and Melbourne, which, by the way, I have a client who I'm about to refer to you because he's decided he wants to move to Australia.
Amazing.
He's done with the US. Yeah.
It is the best country in the world.
He's like, I'm leaving. I'm going to Australia. I'm like, really? I didn't expect that.
Well, you know what? You need to come and visit to understand how amazing it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. My friend Trina goes every year to watch the tennis tournament.
Oh, yes, yes, that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
so it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So who is your buyer in Sydney? Is it other Australians? Is it are they coming from other markets?
Yeah. So at this moment, it's always a local buyer,
Okay.
just because they know the market and they know what's going on.
Right.
So
Right.
in this current situation, definitely a local buyer or like someone, that knows obviously the areas.
Hmm.
Normally what we have is buyers from all over the world actually.
Okay.
A lot from Asia, obviously because that's our closest
Right.
destination. But yeah, definitely from all over the world. America, we have a lot of people, expats coming back from Asia as well. Not so much Europe. We don't get many buyers from
Interesting.
Europe, but that's a bit further. But yeah, I'm just saying, like we obviously do, but not to that extent of Asia and obviously in America. So
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. So it's somewhat of a second home-ish market too, or not necessarily a second home, but maybe a lot of expats or what have you
Yeah, so I
coming
think
over there.
for us is the Chinese market was massive for us for a bit.
Mm.
But they were buying in here just because of schooling and being close is like only like a 9 to 12 hour flight, for children, sending children here, for a better life in terms of, education and everything else, job opportunities and everything.
Right.
So that was quite popular for a while, and we're still getting a lot of Asian buyers, but I think that's always going to be the case because we're so close.
Right.
Um, and then we also have the Americans, but there are more Americans that are returning back home, let
Yeah.
alone actual Americans moving here, And then
Interesting.
you have other people. So we get a lot of expats coming home, which is
Right.
quite nice to have them back.
I mean, sometimes, we think we want to leave and we think we want to go somewhere and then we do and we
Yeah.
miss home.
Yeah, well,
So,
it's nice because when they go overseas, obviously for work, and when they were building their career, and then a lot of them come home with family. So it's actually quite nice where their children are a bit older and they've had education elsewhere, and they come back home and they're like, "Oh, it's nice to be home again." I was
right. I think we all have that feeling.
yeah,
So that's enough business.
yeah. Put that
No more
aside.
business. Talk to me about Sydney. Talk to
Yeah.
me about Mary Sydney.
Well, Sydney, best city in the world. Hello. No, I love it. Look, I wasn't born here. I was born in Taiwan, but I was
Mhm.
bred. Basically, came here when I was 6 months. So I'm basically Sydney sider. Love it with all my heart. When I travel, I do miss home. I think what I love about Sydney, it's so safe. It's got everything across, like very close proximity. You've got the beaches, you've got the city, you've got the shopping, you've got the restaurants, you've got the national parks, you've got nature, and you've got
Mhm.
business. And I love how it's becoming such a global city now. I did like it when it was quieter, but now it's just crazy. Um, it's like it's going to become a mini kind of like New York, or not that busy, but like
I
that
was
kind
like,
of
well,
no, like a kind of a very busy city. I think it's getting towards that stage.
Mhm.
When I was growing up, it wasn't this busy, and we have so much infrastructure in the last 5 years. The infrastructure that has gone into Sydney is insane. It's sort of
Right.
like unrecognizable sometimes. You're like, oh my god, this is where I grew up, kind of thing. Really good food. I have to admit, our food is amazing. Our
So what's
restaurant.
good? Tell me. So because it's funny when I'm talking to Italy or I'm talking to France, like I'm like, oh, where do I get,
Their food's next level. Like I won't even put ourselves up there, but I think Sydney is a cosmopolitan city. So
Mhm.
we have so many cultures and cuisines here. So when I talk about food here, I'm talking about every nationality. Our
That's
produce
amazing.
is really good, so I think that makes the food really delicious. And so we're really proud on produce, and so I think that makes it good. But in terms of cuisine, it's like every nationality you can think of is here. So I could be having Indian tonight and Lebanese next night. I could have Italian the next day, and so any new restaurant that opens up is a very big mixture of things. There's never
But
like a
there,
set thing.
but there has to be something that's Australian,
Oh,
right?
100%.
So what's our best? What if I'm coming to Sydney? When I come to Sydney and I say, Mary, I have to have something Australian. What are we going to have?
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really hard. So definitely I was able to try Vegemite.
Mm. What's that?
It's like a spread. It's very unique in tasting, so you have to sort of grow up in Australia to like it and grow up with it. I'll tell you a little secret. I don't actually quite like it. I didn't grow up with it.
So you're going to make me eat something you don't like?
Yeah,
Well, thank you for that. You're a good friend.
Definitely Tim Tams, the chocolate biscuits. Oh my God, they're my favorite. And so every time I go overseas, I'm like, take a whole bunch of Tim Tams, just be like, here, it's from Australia. We are very good in barbecues. We love doing barbecues.
Yeah.
I'll get you to try kangaroo meat.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's actually it's very tender, but it's actually quite quite delicious. And yeah,
Does it taste like chicken? That's what everybody says. Everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah, no, I think it tastes a bit of chicken and a bit of beef, but it's good. It's not. Oh, I don't know. It's quite tender, so it's quite chewy, obviously, because it's such a lot of muscle. But I don't know. You just have to try it. It's actually a really good meat to have. It's very healthy. Yeah.
Well, so Erin agrees with you. She said no Vegemite.
You've got to try. Like, honestly, you can't come to Sydney and like not try Vegemite. It's just
I'll try it, a little kangaroo meat,
and then if you stay at a hotel, it would absolutely be with your breakfast.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oriana's like, no on the kangaroo meat.
No, you've got to try it. Absolutely. Like it's like there's no difference. It's just a bit tender, I think.
Yeah. It's just one of those that if you were to give it to me and just like, oh, here, try this without me knowing, I'm sure it'd be.
You won't even know the difference. It's not like a lamb. It's got a really heavy taste. It's not
okay.
So it's quite,
But they're so cute.
Yeah, but their meat's really good too. It's really good for your health.
You're so funny.
I'm selling it.
Like, yeah, they're cute. They're tasty.
It's so delicious. What is this?
That's so funny. And so
yeah, you definitely. And then you know what? I think Sydney itself, it's got a bit of everything. So whatever you feel like, it's got the chill factor. We're a really chilled kind of society where we love to like just relax and chill. I think that's from a beach culture that we have. We're very active people. I think just also beach culture. We like to get up and do exercise, and the kids are always outside. And I think it's just a nice vibe. Sydney's got a good vibe. I love it. Yeah. So
where's
come and feel the vibe.
So as a tourist, if I don't want to be around other tourists, because I like to get away from everything, right? I want to see the real Sydney. Where can I go to get a glimpse of what Sydney is without, all the tourists around?
It's really hard because Sydney is broken up into different sectors and also different groups and nationalities and everything. So there's like Chinatown that you feel like you're actually in China, you're not in Sydney, which is amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you go to other places, like other suburbs, and you feel like you're in a different country. So I think if you were to feel really Sydney, you got to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where you feel it at its best and at its like the core center, where you just go and just chill and just see everybody interact with each other and how everyone is on a normal day basis. It's sort of where you feel where Sydney is at. Yeah.
Well, and when I think of Australia, I mean, honestly, I think of the beaches. I think of people on surfboards and,
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's what you think of. And kangaroos, but now in a different way.
No, so you like, even like if you want to see, Sydney in a different light, you can drive. You won't be in Sydney anymore, but you drive an hour down to the farms or like the countryside, and that's Australian, like, well, Sydney side in the country, kind of in a different light, if you know what I mean. And it's beautiful down there as well because it's a whole different lifestyle down there as well. So, but if you want to feel like I've been to Sydney, you obviously got to go to the beaches, do all the walks. They have coastal walks. And then just obviously you got to visit all the tourist areas because then.
Yeah. And Oriana was asking too, like, what are your top three? Obviously the beach is number one.
100%. I always make everyone go to the beach. If you're not a beach person, you got to go. And there's a couple of beaches. So basically, from Bondi, so like down the coastline, you can do a walk from Bondi Beach to the last beach. So it could take 2 to 3 hours, but you can do the whole beach, or you can do the other side of the Harbour Bridge, which is the north side. They have a lot of parks, some national parks, and you end up at the beach. So there's this walk that you go through, like an actual main road, then you go through like a national park, and then you go to another secret beach, and you end up in a main beach. Like it's just like it's beautiful. Top 3, I would definitely make you go to the beach.
Obviously, right?
Definitely go to the Harbour Bridge and Opera House. I think I know it's so cliche, but really, have you been to Sydney if you didn't take a photo in front of that? I think it's just nice there as well, because around there it's in the city, it's middle of the city. You can definitely walk around, and then you go into the city, so it's actually quite beautiful. Another thing I would do is take a boat on the harbour. Our harbour's really famous, and I would definitely jump on a ferry or charter a boat and just cruise around the harbour. Summer in Sydney is very much beach on the boat kind of situation, so definitely cruise around our harbour. It's beautiful. And then I would get you to obviously our restaurants and just take a drive out of Sydney, just completely go for a drive. Even 1 or 2 hours out of Sydney, you're in a different kind of, environment. So.
Right. So how is the temperature there throughout the year? Is there a better time to visit Sydney?
Can I just say, we were talking about this, and like we're always complaining about, oh my God, it's so cold here. And then we actually say that we are so lucky because we get about 9 months of good weather a year.
Yeah.
So we have complete 9 months, and our winters don't even get that cold. Like we're heading to winter now. Like for us, it's freezing, but for others, like from people from London, they're like, this is amazing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's so cold. But in general, we have beautiful weather. It rains when it has to rain, hopefully. And it's not, big chunks. It's like, oh, it's our rainy season for a week, and then you will have pockets of sunshine. We have wonderful weather. Our weather that's one thing that I love about Sydney is our weather.
Okay. So really any time of the year I can come, because even now, so cool to you is what temperature?
Well, okay. So right now we do Celsius.
Right.
Let's have a look on my weather. So right now we're at 16 degrees Celsius.
Which translates to, who wants to chime in? Who knows their Celsius to Fahrenheit?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh no, I don't know.
I think we're like aren't we the only country in the world that uses Fahrenheit too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, of course, because US 60. That's 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
And that's now.
Beautiful.
And we're in fall at the moment. So
is there a lot of wind because you are basically on an island, or you are an island? Is there a lot of
the thing is our winters, and this is what I tell people, it's a frosty cold. So when I went to Japan last year in like November, it was their winter and it wasn't as cold as I thought it would get. Like I literally took everything that was winter here. It didn't even get that cold. Well, I didn't go skiing. I was in Tokyo. But have you been?
No, and you travel a lot.
Can I just say Tokyo is one of my favorite cities. I loved it. I was there for 4 days meeting a client, and it was just phenomenal. I loved it. I met up with the team in Japan. So one of the girls there, I'm really good friends with. It's the nicest team. It's just Tokyo is so much fun. You got to go. But I'm dying to go to the rest of Japan. But anyways, back to Sydney. So we get a frosty cold because we're very close to Antarctica.
Right.
So there is moments in winter that you get the frost from Antarctica, and that's
interesting.
Yeah, and so in summer we get a dry heat, so we don't have a humid heat like Singapore where like you're sweating and nothing stays on your face when you put makeup on. But in here we get a dry heat, so you're like it's super dry. So it's one of those things. So it gets a bit hotter because it's so dry.
So the hottest it gets
is 40 degrees or over 40 actually. We've hit over 40 degrees.
Which is close to Texas. I mean, we get up to 40, I think 42, 43.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would think.
It doesn't last though. I mean, it's, maybe, well, it depends. Last year, it felt like it never stopped. Yeah. Actually, last year I left during the worst part of it. went to Paris, and Paris had the canicle and it was 109 degrees. I was a little unhappy. It was 80 degrees back home.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. You think
It's like,
your home will be hotter, right?
that's what I thought I was getting away from. So
Well, the thing is, we obviously with global warming, we're getting hotter. Sort of truth, right? So we got out, like last summer was pretty hot, but we only get like probably a month and a half of that hotness that you're like, can this be over? But like that's a month, like, you know,
right.
suck it
And
up
it's
kind
not humid. I mean, if you take the
of.
humidity out of it, it makes all the difference.
Look, we get probably a week of humidity,
Mm.
and you always know when that's coming. So you know, we're very on time here with our weather. It's really weird, like, and it was getting. We get 1 week, probably 2 weeks of humidity, and then the rest is dry. So
So it sounds like a perfect place to live.
look, it's perfect. We always complain about weather, but you know what? We have blue skies every day. It's actually a really nice place because we just get 9 months of good weather, and those 3 months is just heat or like extreme cold. You know what I mean? So like, and that's only like a couple of weeks. That's 3 to 4 weeks or 3 weeks.
Right.
Only. Like, what are we complaining? Honestly.
No, it's awesome. Well, I absolutely cannot wait to come see you. I'm ready for the world to open up.
Yes.
I'll have to hop over to Tokyo too.
Well, the thing is, you can do it on the way. So everyone that comes to visit, I'm like, just hop along another Asia city along the way as a stopover, because there's another leg from like to us, right? So where would you go? You'll go Texas to where?
Probably LA. Yeah.
So we have direct LA to Sydney, which you could do like a stopover like on Tokyo on the way home, like or something like that.
Right.
Which is super easy. A lot of people, like when I go to a lot of countries, when I travel, I like to stop over in Asia because it's just an easy stopover because there's already 9 hours minimum to Asia for us. So
right. Well, and I have a girlfriend who lives in Singapore that I've been meaning to see for years.
Have you been to Singapore?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God, I love Singapore. Yeah.
I haven't gone much past Europe. I was trying to finish out Europe and then I was going to hop over to Asia.
Yeah, there's so much to see. So Asia, like, it's interesting because we have so many cultures in such a like small little space, and each Asian country is so different. And so Singapore's amazing. The team of Sotheby is there. So every time I go traveling, I always visit a Sotheby's team. By now, I probably know someone from every office kind of thing. So yeah, it's amazing because you rock up there, you make, you know, communication beforehand, and you go there, you sit a day out, and then you get to go out with them at night or like have dinner or something. And it's just so beautiful because sometimes it's really hard going to a country not knowing anyone, you know, because you're like, what do I do here, you know? And so I think such a power of this brand is not building a great network for business, but it's also a network for friendship where you can go. And you might not even keep in touch, but because we have a brand that's keeping us, you know, together, you're basically family. So I just love it. You don't know any of these people. You rock up, they're like your best friends. Like you've known each other.
I know it's like meeting you in Vancouver. I was like, oh my God, I love her, you know. And I was thinking about that, about how amazing it is to work for this company because I wouldn't know somebody in Sydney otherwise, or, you know, it's been
such a, and I love this, and I love the Sotheby's brand is because of this. And I'm not trying to like, you know, everyone's like, oh, you just do it because you work there. I'm like, no, you don't get it because you're not in it. I was like, it's actually nice that it's a brand that holds such great integrity and standards. And I think that's something that if you want to be associated with, you know, they have great ethics and morals working for the Sotheby's brand. And also the fact that anywhere, every country that you go to or any office that you visit, you know that there are people there that follow the same standard and ethics and morals as you. And I think that's what makes it so much stronger because you know what you're getting. And then obviously, you know, there's always going to be one that doesn't follow the rules, but majority of what head office and what the Sotheby's brand believes in, it's so nice to work for a company that everyone like yourselves that I met in Vancouver for like a whole 10 minutes, you know, I feel that I can, you know, relate to you because we stand on the same standard. So it's so nice when you go and work for, and I love this brand because of that. So
I do too.
Yeah, it's great.
And that's what brought me to it. I mean, I came over, I think it was 3 years ago. And I remember walking in because I was still a new agent and they don't really hire new agents. And I said to them, I said, I want to be part of an international company.
Yeah.
And I've known the Sotheby's auction house because my grandmother did antiques. And
Oh
so,
my God, my auntie, that's how I got into it, because my auntie
isn't
used to,
that funny?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little girl. I was like, oh, Sotheby's, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
It was like the
and it,
ultimate, right? It was like, oh my God, gold.
oh,
That's what I'm here.
I'm still ready to go to London and see an auction. That's like the dream,
Oh, you haven't
sit
done
in.
that. It's amazing. It's so much
I know I
fun.
need to. I
Yeah.
need to. We need to call Guy and have him set that up for us.
100%.
Um,
100%.
right, right. But it's just, it's one of those things that now being a part of it, there are
Yeah.
other brands who have come. I'm sure you've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always just something that ties us to Sotheby's because
Mm.
it's this network. And it's, I know when Randy calls me and says, I'm moving to Melbourne, I'm like, oh, let me call Mary. She'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Without a
I
doubt.
think it's one of those things that it's the nature of the game. Of course, every agent, if you're good, you're going to get poached, right?
Right.
So I think what brings us to Sotheby's, you're right. It's that unity, and it's like it's such a genuine thing. I know we're all here for work and we're all here to make a living, but it's also that level of being so genuine that transpires into our work that makes us successful. And I think I love that about it, because I can actually go meet clients instead of doing the hard sale that every agent does, like list with us because we're amazing. We'll get you the top dollar, and I'm like, who hasn't heard that before, right? So I love it going in there and be like, look, you know what you're going to get. Yes, we will do the hard sale. We're going to get you the best price.
Right.
But what you're going to get is a level of service that's so personal and genuine that it's not that you don't, the money or the commission's taken out of it,
Right. Right.
I like that about it. It's not all about driven by money, it's driven by service. And I love that how, when we do business, it's not about the money that drives. Of course, underlying factor, yes, money drives us, but it's more about providing the right service and being genuine and being, ethical and, just honest with our clients. And I love that's transpired through the whole world, and which is quite rare for such a huge company with about like 22,000 agents.
Right.
That I know not all 22,000 agents work or whatever, but in general, that 22,000 agents can follow this kind of, momentum that we have going. So it's amazing.
And we know that our people are protected anywhere we send them.
Absolutely.
There's something to be said to that. Okay. So
yeah.
I was going to say, you made it so beautiful. I feel like we should stop there because I don't think we just, can get any better than the Sotheby's Love Fest we just had.
I know. It's like so much love, because I was just on the phone to Jack from French Polynesia, which I think we should go there together. Honestly, his photos make me so jealous.
Well, I'm interviewing him next Friday. He's my guy on Friday. Yeah.
God, he's like my little buddy. I love how he keeps on sending me photos, and I'm like, can you stop? I love Sydney, but like wherever you're staying at, like, dude, that's just amazing. Oh, yeah. So, yes, well, I'm definitely tuning in. That's amazing.
I love Doc. He cracks me up.
God, he makes me laugh. Yeah, no, he's a good one. But like things like that, I've just referred him a client, and he's on the market now. Yeah. And that's referral base. I love it because like, I'll say, Jack, look, I've got a client who wants to sell with you. Do your thing, get the listing, just let me know when you've got it, yeah, anytime. And it's just lovely because I know him, like I've only met him like a handful of times, and I feel like we speak like we're besties forever, It's like,
he radiates that. He's like a big teddy bear anyway. You just love him when you meet him. So you'll definitely have to tune in. And had I known that you had such a relationship, I would have like pinged him to make sure he was on tonight. So
yeah, I know, but it's fine. You can send him the link, and he can.
I will. It'll be fun. Well, thank you for getting up early for me. Earlier.
Yeah, no, it's 10. Like it's nearly 10 o'clock here. So my first appointment's in half an hour. So it's great. It's perfect.
That works out wonderfully.
Thank you so much for having me on here. And hi, everybody. Greetings. I am so excited to be here, and it's actually really nice that we could do this because it gives you an insight on why you should come to Sydney.
Right. I mean, I knew why I was going to Sydney. I'm ready to go. No doubt. Right? I was like, I get to go hang out with Mary.
Exactly.
Done.
No, I can't wait. And everybody else, if you're listening, part of the Sotheby's network, honestly, come visit us, come visit me, hit me up. And yeah, I would love to host you guys here and show you Sydney and give you a bit of an insight of our market. So it's amazing. Yeah.
It's wonderful. All right, my dear, we'll have a wonderful
Texas. I've got to come.
But don't come during the summer.
No. You just tell me the nice time to come and I'll be there. It's like, you know what? I love it. I watch it in movies all the time. And I was like, that's a cool area to go to.
It really is.
Yeah.
Austin's pretty, you talk about that chill vibe. If you're in, especially in Texas, we're very kind of, we're the laid back people, as it were.
Love.
Yeah.
You know what? I used to love the hustle and bustle of life, the running, the rat race. But as you get a little older, I just tend to like a bit of quietness.
You're so funny. You're still a baby.
As you grow older, you're like, I actually enjoy just a bit of silence and like not having plans every night. I was like, this is quite nice. So
yeah, no, it really is.
But anyway, I could talk for hours with you, and I know that
we can. We have that problem.
I know we do. But anyway, I hope to jump on next time. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Likewise, love, and we'll see you soon in Sydney.
Absolutely. See you guys. Much love. Bye.
Mwah.